Hello, everybody. Welcome back once more to Anime Yay or Nay. I'm TheOutbackAl.
I'm hot for justice.
I'm chewing you.
And I'm Envy Jitters.
And this week, we started a new show. We watched Katanagatari, the first 2 episodes. What did you guys think?
Honestly,
That's not a good
cute
sign.
art style, but I got bored.
I get
Yeah.
that. I'm going to say now I enjoyed this series, and I did suggest this one, but I realize this is not a show that's for everybody.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
kind of the
I-
same way.
I mean, I like the two main characters together. I like their interactions. It's just, for me, I know you said, well, whenever you said we're describing the show, that it would be a very talky show, but, like, it was,
is.
like, 90% talking, 10% action.
Yeah. I mean, but I feel like they build to the action very well. But that's just me. It might not have been enough for everybody else, though. So,
I mean,
Yeah,
I don't
it was.
mind talking, but, like, since, we just watched JoJo, and JoJo's, like, half talking and half, action, but, I don't know, I'm kind of with Chibi. Like, I was kind of bored at times.
I gotta ask, because each episode's an hour long, we were supposed to watch 2. You guys said you didn't exactly finish them before. How far did you guys get?
Well, I did both. I finished both of them.
I didn't get that far into episode 1.
Same.
My God.
So,
Yeah.
Well, I guess we might as well do a recap, and maybe I could explain the plot in a way that'll make you interested in it. Probably not, but... so, Katanagatari. What happened in episode 1? So this is about a girl with white hair. She's riding over to an island to find somebody. Oh God, I am blanking on her name right now. I have just did a lot of stuff. But yeah, there is a person on that island who is like a master martial artist, and she needs to find him to help collect a number of swords that were designed by this like ancient sword maker. He was like the best sword maker that there ever was, and then people were like, he made these swords that were unbelievable. He made like 1,000 of them, and they were like, well, that's really not that many for a lifetime. But she's like, no, he made like 988 of them just as practice to make 12 super amazing, like unbelievable, like god tier weapon swords, and I have to collect them all to gain power or something. Her name is Togame,
Yeah.
and she is a strategist, a strategian, or well, she describes herself in a number of different ways. But yeah, so she goes to this island where there is the banished
Yasari.
master. Sorry, what?
Is the guy's name, the martial artist Yasari.
Yeah, the head of the Yasari family, who was banished after the last ninja war or not ninja war. What am I talking about? I'm thinking of Naruto too much. It was the last big war in Japan that consolidated power for the current ruler, and she needs his help because apparently, I mean, they explain it in heavy detail, but essentially they tried to have other people go after these swords. First they tried ninjas, but they realized how valuable the swords were, and were like, you know what, we're just going to keep these swords and keep, the valuable thing. So it's like, well, then maybe we can try samurai and swordsmen, because they fight for honor as opposed to, monetary gain. And it's like, well, that didn't work, because as soon as they got their hands on the super powerful swords, they're like, well, it's a greater honor to have this sword than to give it over to whoever wanted it, so I'll keep the sword. So now she needs to find a swordsman who won't go for money, but also won't go for the sword. And the only swordsman who can do that is a swordsman who doesn't use a sword. I probably just explained that entire section that she explains that in far less time than she took to explain it, which is probably why you guys weren't that interested.
yeah.
But yeah, that's what brings her to the island, because the Yasuri are people who are swordsmen but don't use swords. They're martial artists. They know how to fight like a sword, but aren't swords. It's their body is their sword. I don't know. It's metaphorical and stuff. So she makes it over, and she meets the new head of the Yasuri, Shichika, who is a bumbling dumbass. He is
Yeah.
like just I've watched the whole series.
Actually, you know what? Bumbling dumbass is too kind of a word for him. He's got like no clue of what life is like beyond the island. Like
He's never met anyone other than his sister and his dad. So he's like, he has no idea who this person is or what anything is around him. And she's like, hey, let me ask you something. Do you want to take over the world? No. Ah, of course you do. And I, what? Yeah, he kind of throws a couple monkey wrenches in her particular plan to get him to come join her, but then she's like, hey, fall in love with me, then you'll fight for me. And it's idiotic as all hell. But then they get attacked by a ninja who pukes knives at them.
Oh,
Did you not get to that part?
no.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this ninja,
he's like a master ninja or something like that has one of the swords they're looking for.
yeah, he keeps it. It's this. It's like a 2.5 to 3 foot long sword that he keeps in his stomach somehow and pukes it up later.
Well, he's like a sword swallower.
Yeah,
well,
he's
got the skill of a sword swallower.
That's a little offensive now. But yeah, so he pukes up swords and throwing knives and all sorts of other stuff and just attacks them. And Shichika runs after him because he's like, oh my god, new people, I have to kick this one's ass. And they go fight on a beach. And he's like, I have this sword. It was made by it was one of the 12 swords, and it's unbreakable, and you can't break it, and I'm gonna attack you with it. But then he runs away with Togame, and then he starts snapping his body and joints to the point where you're just like, wow, this is getting really gross. And then he transforms into her, and he's like, haha, now I'm gonna go find that guy, and I'm gonna kill him, and he's gonna think it was you the whole time. And she's like, well, I'm a failure. This sucks. So ninja guy's going off, dressed up as the white-haired chick, and runs into Shichika, and he's like running at him like, hey, it's you, I got away. And he just kicks her right in the stomach. And the ninja's like, oh my god, how did he see through my disguise? He didn't. He doesn't recognize anyone. He can't tell who anyone is, so he just kicked. He's like, oh, wait.
He said like it takes him like forever to actually recognize someone, so he has to stare into their soul basically for him to remember people.
Yeah, he's like, oh, wait, you're that other person. Wait, how did you know I was the ninja? You're the ninja? He's like, I'm just kicking people, man. He has
when
no
we say
idea
this guy
what's
is
going on.
dense, this guy is dense.
He's basically had no education, no social interaction, and it only knows how to fight. You know what? He's a himbo. Maybe you shouldn't have passed out on this episode a little bit, because it turns into kind of a JoJo, like the ninja at the very least turns into a bit of a JoJo character between throwing up knives at people and, rearranging his bone structure to look like other people, which he then does to Shichika. He just he untransforms from being the girl and turns into him, and he's like, haha, with this very powerful strong body I will be unstoppable, and there's no way that you'll be able to beat me after I've already attacked you with knives and stuff. Oh, you attacked me with knives, I forgot about that. It stung a little bit, but whatever, I've had worse. He's like, fine then. And then he pukes up the sword again. And he tries to attack him with the sword, but it slips out of his hand, and he's like, haha, you didn't realize. It's not that that the people in my family don't use swords. We can't use swords. They just have no way of coordinating themselves using an actual weapon. So then he how do I describe this? He comes up with his own signature move, which basically just involves him punching him a whole bunch of different times in different ways and just breaking his entire body. And then he's like, hey, I'm going to go with you to find the rest of these swords, because that was kind of fun. Also, I love you.
And I've fallen for you. Yeah.
So the sister bids them farewell and is like, yeah, they go right off. And that's episode 1.
Yeah, you described that in less than 10 minutes, and it was a 45-minute episode.
Yeah. To be fair, I do condense a lot. I feel like there was a lot more character going on than I was.
Well, they spent a lot of time talking in the house,
they did.
The strategist girl, she spends a lot of time talking about the history of I forget what the name of the ruler of the land is called, but she spends a lot of time talking about him.
The daimyo or something, the shogun, one of those things.
Yeah,
and then she goes into the history of the swords and all that stuff.
Yeah, that part's what bored me immensely.
Yeah, so you didn't even make it to the ninja, did you?
Nope.
You should have. It was fun. He was a hell of a character. And now he's dead.
And now he's dead.
Yep. Yeah. Plus, they're very brightly colored ninjas. I'm talking like Naruto. We have to have a character for ourselves, ninjas, and there's a whole clan of them, each with their own color, animal, whole bunch of other stuff. You guys will never see it. And they each have their own gimmick. His was puking things up.
And transforming into other people.
No, that too. Let's see here. What else? Episode 2. They make it to the mainland, and they start walking around a town, which Shichika has never seen before. And he's like, oh my god, look at all this stuff. Look at all these people. And she's like, this is actually a pretty small town. He's like, what? There are more people than this? But he's actually talking to an 8-year-old girl who doesn't actually look anything like Togame, but she's like, hey, I'm over here. He's like, oh, sorry, a lot of people. I can't tell who's who. And she's like, hey,
Wow.
I just look at me. Try to remember what I look like, blah, blah, blah. So they keep talking, and they're like, okay, we have to go around to these places and these places. We're going to go to a desert because there is a place out there where there's another one of the swords. There's a guy who runs the thing, and he's like, oh, that's really interesting, Togame. But he's actually talking to an old lady because she has white hair. And he's like, that's not me, you dumbass. So they have to find a hotel room, and then things get kinky. It's weird. Never mind.
Yeah, we could just skip
They
it.
go to the desert, and she's like, hey, you got to be more interesting during these fights because, like, that other guy totally outshined you. I have to write up reports to send back to the Shogun, and I really need you to be more interesting because the ninja was super interesting, and you are so flat when I write you in these things. So you need, like, a catchphrase and stuff.
He's automatically the most interesting because he's literally fighting without a weapon. His whole body's the weapon.
Yeah, but he's, like, doesn't talk a whole lot, and when he says stuff, it's, like, not as interesting as super kooky purple throw-up ninja dude. Anyone who compares to that is gonna, like, yeah, he's gonna outshine everybody. So, they're running into that issue. Meanwhile, over in the desert castle, there's this dude who's just kind of tired and really doesn't want to be doing anything, and people keep coming into his castle looking to get his sword, but they have to enter this room that he's sitting in, and we meet our second ninja. I think he's like a swan ninja, because he's white bird looking like, and he talks backwards the whole time, because he wants to be interesting. So he takes one step in the room, and he keeps talking, but the guy's like, yeah, you keep talking a lot for a dead guy, and then he just falls in half. Apparently, yeah, he got him with one cut so fast that the guy didn't even notice that he was already dead.
Damn.
Wow.
And he just drags the body outside and throws it out in the desert, which Togame and Shichika walk right over, and they're like, oh, shit, there's a dead guy right here. Hey, that's one of those ninja dudes. Damn.
Well, let's not forget,
Well-
too, before they even get to the castle, they spent like 10 minutes trying to come up with a catchphrase for the...
Almost specifically because they were like, we might run into these ninjas again, and there's this one dude who talks backwards, and we really don't want him to outshine you. Turns out he's dead before they even got there. But I think they were like trying to... Oh, yeah, they threw around a couple different ideas for him. Like, most of them kind of I don't remember that well, but he was like, hey, what if I just said that thing that I'm always saying? What a pain. Or like... Because he, like, a lot of times, like, whenever she first came to the island, he was like, oh, God, I gotta take this girl back home now that, like, she tripped and fell over or whatever. Ugh, what a pain. Oh, I gotta wear clothing now? Ugh, what a pain. But she's like, you can't do that. Everyone's gonna think that I coerced you into this. But you kind of did. You know? And she's like, well, I can't make people think that. And so they eventually settle on his catchphrase should be... by then, I will have torn you to pieces, which is really not the easiest catchphrase because you have to like be prompted to say it a little bit. And she says that her catchphrase is cheerio, and she uses it to punch people. And she says it's like something where it's like I think she thinks it's like Datebayo from Naruto.
Mm-hmm.
And the narrator says it is not, but she will find out later. And it will be very embarrassing for her. But we'll never see that point. Yeah, so they make it to the castle, go see the guy, and they open up his little room, and they're like, hey, are you the guy? I'm the guy. And first they're going to try to negotiate. Because, if you can get something without bloodshed, best to do that. Offer some stuff or negotiate a little bit. Fight is a last resort sort of thing. So she's like, hey, we can offer you stuff. We can offer you money or compensation or, grant a wish from the shogun or whatever. And, what would you like? And he's like, well, I would like it if you respected me a little more and actually came into my room to talk to me. So she's about to take a step in when Shichika, throws her backwards against the wall and, she doesn't notice. Bam, there's a cut right on her, on the front of her clothing. It went through the first layer of shirt. And he's like, that's not good. God, what happened at that point? I think they decided to pause because Shichibuko was like, you know what? If we're gonna actually fight and you want to do this, I'm gonna need just a day to think about some stuff, and then we can fight. Okay? Okay. And then they leave. So Shichika is trying to strategize on how to fight this guy who has such a fast, powerful sword that you can't even see it when it attacks you.
But it's only the range of that room that he's in.
Yeah, that's what he figured out, because his move is to draw the sword is to use a drawing slash, and the room that he is in is small enough that everything within the room is in his range. So he can't really fight well outside of that room, so they have to try to work with that. At which point, he's like, saying to Togame, listen, tomorrow, I need you to be directly behind me whenever we fight. And she's like, why? You don't think I can handle myself up front? And he's like, well, one, I know you can't handle yourself up front. Two, I love you. And people are stronger when they have something to protect. It's kind of like sentimental stuff like that. Also, he changed his wardrobe. He is now no longer wearing, whatever his garb was on the island. Now he has pants and sleeves. No shirt, just sleeves. I don't know if you guys saw the opening number, but that's his costume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they go to fight this guy. And he's getting ready. He's basically going to run at him and hopefully be faster than the sword. So he goes, the other guy goes, he slashes at him, but in the last second, Shichika, fainted backwards. Not fainted, passed out. He, did a feint and, got out of the range of the sword before moving forward and just kicking the guy in the shoulder. Then he jumps back. He's like, oh, shit, I didn't hit him hard enough. He didn't go down in one shot. So now the guy's ready. He's standing, and he throws a couple slashes at Shichika, but he dodges back, just barely missing him. Tears up the rest of the room, basically. And he's like, okay, well, that didn't work. And the other guy's like, well, now you've really pissed me off and woken me up. Plus, he cut himself, which put blood all over the sword, which made the friction on the sword and the scabbard virtually zero, making it, he proclaims, light speed. But we'll see about that. So, now it's time for round 2. Shichi is going to run at him again. And the other guy is going to just try to cut him super fast and try to kill him before he bleeds out. Which Togame was like, why don't we just go away and let him bleed out real quick, and then we can just take the sword. And Shichika's like, no, I need to see if I can actually fight this guy. So, Shichika makes to run. The guy slashes. He does the feint back again. This time, he kicks off of Togame. He basically... Yeah, he uses her as a launching pad to launch into the air above the guy's sword. He's like, haha, you're so good at this slashing thing, but you can't slash upwards while drawing. So he comes down on him and just, kills him. And that's how they got the second sword. I should mention, before they fought him, he did, ask, hey, what could the Shogun have done for me? Could he have turned the desert back into a normal land? That way people could come back. And she's like, no. Well, then I guess I got no regrets then. Togame's kind of pissed about getting kicked in the face. But they got a
As
sword.
anybody would.
And they're moving on to the next place. Meanwhile, though, in other places, we're seeing shots of, like, this one samurai dude with, like, white hair and a very honestly, there's a lot of characters in here who look like they could be JoJo characters. Who apparently has one of the swords and is the greatest swordsman of all in Japan, and he's got, like, a blade made of crystal or something. And he just... anyone he comes across who, like, does him wrong in some way, they're dead before they even realize it. So they're, like, building him up, because I know they fight him in episode 4. God, what else? Yeah. I think that's about it. That's episodes 1 and 2. I sum them up in about 20 minutes. They take about 40 per episode. I don't know. Envy, you actually saw both of them. What did you think overall?
I mean, kind of like what I said in the beginning. I like the characters. I like the concept of the show and the way that the main character fights. And I like the voice actors for both of them. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just not used to very dialogue, talky heavy shows. But I don't know. I was just kind of like, okay, you could make these like normal 20-minute episodes and you would still get the point across.
Probably. I do like what they do with, like, the characters a little bit, though, because, like, it's... And I think this is exemplified a little bit more in the 3rd episode, which we won't get to, because I have a feeling you guys are going to say nay for this series at this point. Am I right?
You're not wrong.
I'm not wrong. Okay. I'm guessing, because you guys didn't even finish the 1st episode, I'm guessing that's 2 nays. Envy, what are your thoughts? Like, yay, nay, meh? I'm a yay, but I've already seen it.
I mean, I've never given a nay so far to a show, and I don't think I would give this show a nay per se, because I can understand where some people would like it. I guess I'm kind of like a very low meh. Like I wouldn't be opposed to watching more, but yet again, I wouldn't.
I get it.
Sleep over not watching it.
So I guess there's no problem if I, like, talk a little bit about the later series then.
That's fine.
Go for it.
One thing that I enjoyed when I watched it was that, well, to begin with, there's only 12 episodes. There's 12 swords. Each time you're going to find a new thing and new people and whatnot. Every episode introduces entirely new characters to work off of and deal with and their personalities. And each one of them, I think because each episode was like 45 minutes, like an hour-long episode kind of thing, I think that they were able to set up and establish and flesh out a lot of these characters who have the swords very well in a short amount of time and make you actually care, maybe not about, say, the ninja guy as much, even though he was interesting, but you care about, like, these people who have these swords because they're interesting and you haven't seen them before. It's like, I've really only seen a few other shows, like, say, Cowboy Bebop, do that in a way that I was like, wow, I actually care about this person I've known for 5 minutes. And, yeah, that was, like, one thing that I really thought this series did well. Like, especially with the 3rd episode, there was going to be she was like a former soldier who decided to become a nun or shrine maiden, whichever one you want to call it, and, like, she took in a whole bunch of women who were, like, she basically started a women's shelter and gave everyone a sword because the next sword was going to be a sword that was made of 1,000 swords. It's weird, but she was an interesting character who actually, whenever she fought, she'd get kind of left more of an impact on him than a lot of his other opponents did. And there's the whole ninja clan, who are just a whole bunch of characters themselves. There's a penguin ninja you guys would have loved. He's adorable.
A penguin ninja.
Yeah, there's a penguin ninja, a phoenix ninja, an otter ninja. There's a whole bunch of birds, some insects. I'm probably forgetting a couple. There's at least 12 of them. One dies an episode. Oh, plus the fight with Crystal Saber guy. I'm gonna spoil this. I was telling you guys that you should watch the previews whenever the episodes are done, because they lead to one of the best Easter eggs. I know we don't have the time right now, but I kind of wanted you guys to watch the preview for episode 4, because they hype the battle where Shichiji is going to fight Crystal Saber guy, and they have to row to an island, and because like they want to be away from civilians whenever they do this fight, because they are going to cause a lot of damage. And as soon as they get to the island, before they even land, the dude slashes at the sea and cuts the water like Moses. And like they start fighting on the ocean floor before the waves come crashing down to both of them. And then Togume's stuck in the water, and a shark jumps out at her, and he just like flicks his wrist, and the shark is like instantly cut perfectly in half down the middle before it hits her. He's like slicing through mountains, and everything's exploding. People are jumping off of falling rocks like Ultra Instinct Shaggy. The island is basically exploding the whole time. That is a 30-second preview for episode 4. You know what episode 4 is about? You do not see the fight at all.
What?
They cut away to what the sister's doing on the home island the whole time. And then at the end of the episode, you watch the two of them sitting there eating dumplings or whatever, being like, wow, that was such an amazing battle. Can you believe that he did this and blah, blah, blah. Oh, and what about the time that he did that? And all sorts of stuff. And you see smoke rising out in the distance where the island was. And they're just like, oh, and when his sword did that one thing, I really thought I was going to die there. I'm like, the first time
So
I
they
saw
literally
that,
did the whole fight in the preview.
Oh, yeah. And I thought that it's like, on the one hand, screw you for taking that away from me. But on the other hand, that was a hilarious bait and switch with that preview and the non-existent fight. I don't really know what the deal with that particular sword was. The first one's unbreakable. The second one is the sharpest sword. The third one is 1,000 swords. The fourth one is, I don't know what its specific deal was. It was just really good. I just kind of thought it was kind of like a lightsaber. The fifth one, I think, is a giant suit of armor. The sixth one is super heavy, like a club for some reason. I feel like I'm missing some stuff. One's a robot. One is an electric power generator. One shows you your innermost spiritual feelings. One of them is a kendo stick, which actually makes people feel better, I guess. One of them is a poisonous blade that allows you to be possessed by the spirit of the blacksmith who forged it. And the last one is guns. Just a pair of guns that people get shot with.
Amazing.
Yes, because those are clearly swords.
Yeah. But yeah. So I don't want to say a whole lot because I actually do recommend this show. So I don't want to spoil everything going forward. I know I just spoiled one of the big, thing with the preview versus the actual episode thing, but I kind of recommend the show because I like the characters in it, and I feel like you get used to the dialogue and the heaviness of it. But yeah. Was there anything you guys did like from the show?
Art style. Super
The art
cute.
style is beautiful.
Yeah, it's really cute.
Yeah. You guys didn't see it whenever halfway through the series, whenever Togame changes her haircut.
Does it get shorter?
Yeah, it gets very short.
Okay.
She doesn't move on. She doesn't move on, cuts her hair.
Not voluntarily.
Oh.
It was a pretty emotional episode. But I won't get into that because we don't have to get into that. I don't know. I feel like I've said I've basically been the one talking the whole episode. I guess you guys don't have much to say on this, but
Not really. No.
yeah. So we might as well talk about what we'll be watching next week. Sorry if this is a shorter episode. What did we have? We had like some other ones planned. I gotta bring up the Google Doc. Where are you?
I know we each picked like a show, and then we did like a D4 roll or something like that. And
Yeah. Next one will be Zombieland Saga.
oh boy,
So, yeah, whose pick was that?
that was mine, but it was on the list before I picked it.
Okay. So yeah, next week. How many episodes is it? Because I don't
It's
have
only
any
12.
other information. Okay. So next week, do we want to do 3 or 4?
Probably just 3.
Just 3.
Yeah.
Okay. So next week, watch episodes 1 through 3 of Zombieland Saga with us, or you could always go watch more Katanagatari. I mean, we won't talk about it, but I still say it's a good series. What's Zombieland Saga about?
It is about, without spoiling too much, it is basically a normal high school girl. She leaves her house one day to go to school. She gets hit by a truck and dies. And then 10 years
Spoilers?
later... Well, no. It's literally in the first 30 seconds of the show.
I'm fucking with you. Come on.
Oh, no, it's fine. But she wakes up 10 years later as a zombie, and this crazy guy whose sub-voice actor is the sub-voice actor of Okabe from Steins Gate, he is creating a zombie idol group out of different zombies at different periods. Like, they're girls, but they're girls from different periods in Japan history.
Weird.
And he is doing this to, I shit you not, save a precinct in Japan from, I guess, total destruction, and the only way to do it is to become a zombie idol girl group. But you can't let the people know that they're zombies, so they have to act like they're still alive.
Okay. Well, we'll
Yeah.
see how that goes. Sounds like Tokyo Mew Mew meets some sort of zombie anime that I don't have a reference for right now.
And by the way, I don't mean like idol group as in, like save the universe or anything like that. No, I
No,
mean
I
like,
know what you mean.
like
It's
singers.
like a singing group. I'm just like
Yeah.
saying the only other thing I really have a reference to girl groups right now is Tokyo Mew Mew.
It's more like Love Live.
Oh.
Nico,
Actually,
Nico,
I can't say ugh.
No,
I've never seen it.
no.
I just I was like friends with this guy on Facebook who I think he was a little too into it. Yeah, I think you know what I mean when I say that. Yeah.
Ow.
Anyway, also make sure to watch. What was our movie this week? This week. This
Rebellion.
year. What? Yeah, Rebellion. Oh my God, it's Madoka. I forgot about that. Maybe we should be watching Madoka. I don't know. You know what? We'll watch musical Madoka with Zombieland Saga. Honestly, that's kind of appropriate. They're kind of zombies a little bit.
Wow.
Yeah, in a sense.
Okay. Anyone got anything else to say?
Nope.
All right. Watch Madoka Rebellion. Watch Zombieland Saga. Watch Katanagatari. Give it a chance. Unlike these guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon for notifications. If you enjoyed this video, give us a like, and feel free to check out some of our other gaming videos, our weekly podcast Anime Yay or Nay, or our parody series Madoka Magically Abridged. See you next time!